Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got our guest co-host, Stitches, of course, from Florida, Miami.
Thank you.
New lie. Okay.
Now let's get in some front page news. Teslin Figaro, good morning.
Good morning, DJ Envy. Good morning, beautiful. Good morning, Stitches.
Good
and
morning.
Charlamagne the Guy.
She's so pretty. Tess so pretty, y'all.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Now let's jump right into it. Let's talk about what's been going on at Howard University. I seen it yesterday on, I guess on one of these news reports, and it's very sickening, especially because I just dropped my son off at college.
Yeah. Nobody wants to send their kids to school and be attacked. Now, saying the security is being ramped up at the D.C. campus of Howard University after several students were randomly and viciously attacked by a group of teenagers. So just to make a point, obviously these were not Howard students. You know, they came teenagers from off campus, and they said these teenagers are known for troublemaking. Like you mentioned, there's been some videos posted on social media over the weekend showing the attack, or showing the fights or the attack. They said that Howard students were injured outside the resident hall. 2 victims managed to escape the violent mob of about 15 or more teenagers, while another one of the victims was stabbed in the back. So looks like nearly 250,000 views of this was going on TikTok. So it's been something that we've been seeing viral.
So campus security ain't got no guns?
No. Usually, sometimes they do, but when there's that many kids and they're beating students, it's very difficult. But the sad thing about
when you got a gun, ain't no tasers, no nothing.
Kids out in D.C. got guns too.
Well, clearly they didn't, because they didn't use them in this moment.
But they stabbed a kid, and I heard they try to stab a couple. But the problem with this is, a lot of these kids are freshmen. They don't even know each other. So, you're just bringing your kids to school this week. So a lot of these kids don't know. And see, the thing about Howard, shout out to Howard and all the HBCUs, but Howard is not a campus where it's closed in. So it's really open to the public. Anybody can walk on the campus, which makes it very dangerous and very scary. So I just hope those students are all right.
To me, though, it's not the kids at Howard that's the issue. It's the fact that Howard clearly has a lack of security. You know what I'm saying? Because in this day and age of even where you have people, committing mass shootings on places like that, I would think that there would be more security.
Well, they said it's been an increase in violent crime in general for Washington, D.C. It's not like Washington, D.C. is just known for safety. Right. But they said it's 26% up, an uptick. And they even reported here that the freshmen, new to the city, may be particularly vulnerable, to, I guess, your point of saying, freshmen really don't know, what's going on. But
don't know
they did say, they did say that they have installed over 1,000 cameras. But to your point, Charlamagne, what will a camera do, if something's actually going down? But they said they have tried to install more cameras over the last 8 months.
Well, I hope the cameras caught every single one of them students and one of them kids, not students, one of those kids that did that. And I hope they get held accountable.
What would you do because you just said that you just dropped your kid off, your child off at school. What would you do if you heard that as a parent? Even if they weren't involved in it, but you just dropped them off.
Like, they were like a victim?
What do you tell a parent who just dropped their kid off to school?
I mean, it's scary. It's nothing that you can do. And I'm not trying to ish on anybody that went to Howard, but that was the reason why I didn't go to Howard. Because when I went down there, the campus was too open. And my parents were very nervous about it. Like, there is no protection for the students, even though Howard's a great school.
Of course, yeah.
That's why I went to Hampton, because Hampton had a closed campus. Even I took my son to university. He went to University of Miami and dropped him off Monday. It's a closed campus where you have to, be able to know where you're going. But there is in the middle of the city. Anybody can get around it, which makes it scary. But as a parent, there's nothing you can do. You can pray, and hopefully you got a lot of family in Miami. And I would definitely call you, Sock Passe, and be like, go pick up Lil Logie. You know what I mean?
Now, just as an FYI, the police chief did say there was one armed officer that's posted in the front of the building where the fight broke out this past weekend, but they pretty much only have security and bike patrol to secure the rest of the campus.
They ain't let off no shots.
Well, you can't just let off a shot for a fist fight.
In the air or something.
You can't do
that.
Man,
a mob, 30 people. Come on now. That's a mob, bro. It's at 50 people. This is a mob, bro.
But police are only allowed to use their firearm in self-defense. They can't just shoot in the air. You can't do it.
This is self-defense. There's a bunch of kids getting attacked.
You can't do that.
It might not be, the cop might not be getting attacked, but his job is to protect and to serve. If 50 people jumping on a bunch of students shooting in the air or something.
They're not allowed to do that.
That's crazy.
Now, let's talk about what's going on in Hawaii.
Yeah, just a quick update. We've been seeing what's going on. We covered this yesterday on Front Page News, but a week after the blowtorch winds brought the most horrific disaster in modern Hawaiian history, members of the working class, Maui's working class, have become do-it-yourself first responders and cul-de-sac commanders. Everything from U-Haul trucks to borrowed boats to dugout canoes. Hundreds of lifeguards, carpenters, and bartenders have set up and stocked nearly a dozen pop-up relief centers, mostly without the help of anyone in uniform. Now, between the disappointing official response, tourists who actually went snorkeling looking for bodies, and real estate spectators who have been hounding families in grief, Hawaii's famous aloha spirit is being strained. Take a listen.
Frustration has turned to anger.
You know, everybody's like, oh, you know, they're going to come and help. They're going to come and help. They don't give a us. Nobody came for help us. You know what I mean? We rely on people like you guys that get compassion like we do. You know what I mean? That willing to help us because, please, we need help. We need help. We need the next step. This is just the first inning. This is the first inning of what we're facing.
Tourism is.
Yeah, so he's saying they don't give a S, you know, what's going on. There's also some criticism. Republicans say that Biden went 4 days without talking about the fires. I know he'll be, I saw a report this morning that he'll be going out there to visit after his vacation on next week, but they're just frustrated. Now, the counter to that is folks are saying, you know, it's hard to get in because it's a crime scene and you got to move out the way, but pretty much they're having a Kanye West moment saying, you know, nobody cares about Hawaii.
Yeah, and I saw President Biden is offering a $700 emergency payment to households impacted by the fire in Maui, and it's a one-time payment. But damn, you think about the billions of dollars that went to Ukraine,
right?
And you're making a $700 one-time payment to households. I mean, that's some good little extra money. But what's that really going to do at a time like this?
Right.
It is good to see though people like even Oprah, and I know they said Dwayne Johnson, and just people like he said
Floyd
have
Mayweather.
compassion and just giving and doing what they can to support. So, and I know in Florida they're doing what they can as well.
All right. Well, that is Front Page News. Now, Tesla, we'll see you in a couple minutes.
Absolutely.
Everybody else, get it off your chest. 800-585-1051. If you need to vent, hit us up right now. Phone lines are wide open again. 800-585-1051. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Charlamagne the Guy. We are The Breakfast Club. We got our special guest host, Stitches, with us.
Hello.
All right, now let's get in some Front Page News. Welcome back, Tiz.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, everybody.
Now let's jump right into it. Let's talk about this lawsuit filed against apartment manager charged for assaulting a black child. What happened in this case?
Yeah, a lot of folks, I'm sure, saw this on social media. If you didn't, it was went viral, I guess about last week or so, but there's an update on it where now they have filed a lawsuit. A North Carolina apartment manager is facing a lawsuit after she was caught on camera pouring a drink on a black child and hitting him with a bottle.
Well, she needed her ass beat.
Yes, she really did. The family is suing the property manager, Kimberly Jennings, who was charged with 2 counts of simple assault in connection to the incident involving their child. And the family claims that the children were swimming at the apartment pool where their friends live when Jennings demanded that they get out of the water. When the kids were leaving, Jennings allegedly approached their sons, no, allegedly because we saw it, but allegedly approached their son and poured soda all over his head, struck him in the face multiple times, all because him and his little sister were swimming in the pool at a property that she manages. The lawsuit said that the parents said that the apartment manager also assaulted their daughter by pulling her hair and hitting her. They further alleged that Jennings said that their son was acting like a real N-word during the encounter. And it's been a viral video, you know, that actually showed this happening over I guess about last week or so.
Kimberly Jennings needed her ass beat, and maybe I micromanage my kids too much because I'm always floating around, and I never understand where the adults be when stuff like that happens. That young man needed a hat to throw in the air or something because he needed the cavalry to come.
How old was he again?
11.
Oh, that's crazy.
Like that. Like she needed. Like you don't do that to somebody's children. And then if somebody would have dragged her all around that pool,
They should have dragged her all around that pool.
Absolutely, they would have got charged with assault. But she absolutely deserved it.
Where was the chair? We needed a folding chair there.
Man, that little boy needed a hat. All he needed you got to throw a hat in there.
Oh, folding chair.
And then what bothered me about that video is the fact that young man just he knew he couldn't do anything. Like he didn't even react.
Right.
He just stood there like
Just stood there,
like that's
yeah.
like that. Like it was the
I'm sure he felt like a
50s or
child.
60s,
Yeah,
like,
I'm sure he felt like a child. Like he was being, like you said, like a white person thing. But I would, like you said, I wish the parents were there, and I wish they'd have dragged their ass all around that pool.
Even if there wasn't parents, just some other adult
authority.
And how old was he again?
11.
And I think that's the deeper thing. Where our kids are not seen as kids. They're seen like our men, our young boys, our children are seen as grown men, and they're babies. Our little girls are being slapped, their hairs are being pulled, and they're babies.
But imagine the balls of that woman to pour a soda on a child she does not know and think it's okay. And think like, oh, this is fine. I'm gonna get away with this.
I ain't afraid of this person's parents. I ain't afraid of this person's guardians. It's like, what is this little Negro child? Please. Nobody care about him.
It's not right.
And the fact that she was a 60-year-old woman, by the way, so to an 11-year-old, you're right. And he just stood there just looking absolutely healthy. It was given 1940s, 50s, just remember when we couldn't swim in the pools and stuff like that and were treated in that way. I wish somebody would do my child that way.
That's traumatizing.
By the way, it ain't too late. It ain't too late to give her that fade.
No. That's right. The fade is always available.
And I'm sure mama, if they still live in that complex, mama probably gonna catch her.
Absolutely.
They're gonna take it to court.
Now let's talk about these football players and Parkinson's disease.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a quick update on the largest study to describe the association between participation in football and the odds of having Parkinson's disease. A recent study found participants with a history of playing the organized tackle football had a 61% increase of odds of Parkinson's disease. Now, the data also revealed that players who had longer careers and played at a higher level of competition experienced these odds more than others. So football players at college or the professional level, they were at 2.93 increased odds for Parkinson's disease versus those who played at youth or high school. So thought this was an interesting story. You hear a lot about head injuries and different things like that from our boys, playing football, but just thought I would, put this out here for the family.
Very, very scary, right? Because we love watching football, but it's very dangerous. I mean, my son who's going to college, he got scholarships to go to different schools to play football and decided he didn't want to do it anymore. He'd rather run track. But then I got his younger brother who wants to follow in the bigger brother's footsteps, and he wants to play football. Like yesterday was his first practice with gear, and it's like you don't want to say don't play, but you kind of want to steer him away from it because you're hearing all of these, people getting hurt and everybody having problems. But on the flip side, I'm about to watch the Giants play in a couple of weeks, so it's difficult.
Right.
Well, your Cowboys ain't winning, so don't say nothing anyway. And that,
honestly, I'm not even saying nothing because it is true. It's one of those. I don't want to say necessary evils, but it kind of is, right? Because we all know the risk of football. The people who play it know the risk. If they're willing to deal with the risk, I'm willing to be entertained by it.
I think even in Florida, they're doing now for, I don't know if it's high school or middle school, but they're considering testing their heart, like their heart condition, and people are kind of on the, they're not too sure because will that affect them in the future? Because talk about medical history of people, if scouts want to look at your medical history, will that stop you? So I think the importance is protecting them because they're still babies. Yeah. Personally, me, if you have my nephew Nate, he's into football, but my other nephew, he was like, nah, because he don't like getting touched, so he wasn't about that. He played basketball. But I think even as if they're like 8 and 7 playing tackle, I just feel like that's too dangerous for the child's mind and body to be taking on that kind of impact and continuing with it. And not to discourage anybody, but I'm my babies. I ain't got no babies yet, but it's like, what about the children?
Right.
Like
you're right, but I'm watching. Some of my favorite sports
Me
are
too, I ain't
violent.
gonna lie, I'm still watching, but
we got Canelo Alvarez and Jermell Charlo coming up here today.
Right, that's what I say. Boxing as well,
Yeah.
very violent. Yeah,
I love all.
But it's always important to know the risks.
Right.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm saying I just love those violent sports. But like I said, if those adults are willing to, deal with the risks that come with playing those sports, I'm gonna watch. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm not.
All right, well, that is Front Page News.
And make sure you subscribe to Tezlin Figaro's podcast, the Straight Shot No Chaser podcast on the Black Effect iHeartRadio podcast network, and follow Tezlin Figaro on all social media platforms at Tezlin Figaro.
All right, now when we come back, like Charlamagne just said, Canelo Alvarez, boxer, will be joining us.
Come on, man. Not just any boxer. Canelo is one of the greatest, boxers to ever fight, man. He is the undisputed super middleweight champion.
Right.
And he'll be fighting Jermell Charlo on September 30th. We got Jermell coming up here this morning, too, right after Canelo.
That's right. So we're going to chop it up with both of them, so don't move. It's The Breakfast Club on BET.
Wake that ass up.
In the morning.
The Breakfast Club.